Could I take?
It is 5:30, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Michelle, would you do roll call, please?
Karen.
Here.
Carol Hollenkamp. Here. Nicole Jacobs. Here. Gina Rao. Here. Dennis Workmeister.
Here. All here. If you would please rise to do the pledge of allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 3 is approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion or recommend any changes.
I've got a question. On number 13, we have a resolution, but in our paperwork it says agreement. So I didn't know if we wanted to make that a resolution or if we wanted to vote on it as an agreement.
There should be both. There should be a resolution and the supporting agreement. The resolution might be on the back. Yeah, it's on the back of Hayden's.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yep.
Is there?
Okay.
Yep, it's there.
All right.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for Monday, February 5th, 2024.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right. Item number 4, public forum. Have all the guests signed in, please? And everybody sign in. Okay. And who would like to go first, if anybody has comments tonight?
I'll have comments. I always have comments.
That's good.
Do you have an agenda? Do you have an agenda?
Pardon?
Do you have an agenda?
Yes, I do. I would like to speak to number 17,
Okay.
which is resignation of a treasurer. I wanted to know when we had a treasurer, number 1, because as of October, when the auditors were here, we did not have a treasurer. So when did we get a treasurer, number 1? And I remember discussing with you, when you invited everybody to your office to talk about, you had been asked to be treasurer and you decided you did not choose to be. So that was in October as well. So when did we get a treasurer? Who is the treasurer? And why are we having her resign when we never had one?
The thoughts, we'll take them under advisement.
We can discuss it then later.
Yep, we'll discuss it under number 17 on that agenda.
Okay.
Anybody else for public forum? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right, item number 6, approve payment of claims. I would entertain a motion to approve payment of claims.
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
motion and a second?
For the treasurer?
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question on the ambulance clothing. Lori's here, so she can help tell us. $1,200 and some, what'd you get?
You got, that was taken out of our money, not our budget. But Michelle has,
It wasn't out of your budget at all?
no, Michelle's controlled one of our accounts, so it was paid out of that account.
Okay, something different.
So it was is actually paid by you guys.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments, discussion on the claims? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor of the approval of claims, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right. Item number 7 is a resolution to approve a proposed bid on the lagoon contract. I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution. Motion, please?
Motion, yes.
Danny makes a motion.
It's a motion?
It's a motion.
I'll second.
All right. The motion and second, so discussion, explanation, we'll go over the project a little bit, guys.
I guess I wondered why we dropped it when I thought Kelly wanted the floating ones and not the submerged ones.
I'm okay either way, and if it's, I mean, the other way is $50,000 more, so
I know, but is it gonna be better in the long run?
they're both gonna do the same thing.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, they'll achieve the same goal, and it's really a matter of preference.
Okay, so why do they offer that then?
But again, it's a matter of preference. It's kind of why have a concrete road versus an asphalt road, right? It's, they're gonna achieve the same goal.
We basically did that so you guys as a council had options,
Yep.
and just to see how the
But
two
you don't
different,
think
the
it's
two different
it's
bids would
gonna
come
last
back.
any better one way or the other either?
I don't think there's a significant life cycle difference, no.
Okay, that would have been my big thing, that we don't wanna find out in 5 years, oh, you should've went that way.
The floating one, I understand, is a little bit easier to maintain. Is that a
See
significant cost of maintenance, or is that a time issue, which is cost, or?
I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
And we're used to submerged, right?
You know, that's what we have now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the timing as far as if we approve tonight? Then kind of tell me the timing after that.
Sure. So if you approve tonight, we will get the contracts underway. I'd go back to the office and get those sent out this week to King Construction. Once he signs them, he'll send them back to me. I'll bring them to you guys to be signed and finalize those contracts. Once contracts are fully signed, the contractor will start sending us submittals of all of the equipment that he's gonna use on this project. We review it to make sure it matches what we require in the plans. Once we approve everything, he's good to order it. Once he gets it in, he can start the project. A lot of this equipment has a decent lead time, so I don't know exactly when the project would start. That's kind of up to him, but it's, some of the stuff I think is a couple months out. So we usually say, once we get contract started, give that about 3 to 4 weeks. That can be give or take a week. And then after that, he'll go to his suppliers to get those submittals put together and sent to us, and that can take another few weeks after that. So this is kind of the general process. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, can you put any months to those timelines?
Sure. So say starting this week, we get contracts going, give it about a month, and we're at the beginning of March. Give it another 2 to 3 weeks for submittal review and approval, roughly mid to late March. He'll start ordering equipment, and then that's kind of where the question mark is how far out equipment is, what the lead time on it is. I think we're giving the contractor till the end of August to complete the project. He does have a certain number of working days, so once he does come in and start, he has to have it done in a certain number of days. He can't just come in at the beginning of summer, leave for the summer, come back at the end of summer. Once they start, they have to finish. And then we have a date that they just have to be done by at the end of August, so that everything's up and running by then. So as far as what the timing of the actual work is, that's up in the air, and that's really up to the contractor. And he'll let us know that after we get contracts done. He'll let us know what his schedule is, and then we'll have a pre-construction conference here with Kelly and whoever wants to attend, that he'll review the schedule, kind of what the sequence of work will be, how it's all gonna happen, and everything like that, so.
Okay. So to go with it then, as far as invoicing, what will that look like?
Yeah, so invoicing will happen once a month. Once the project starts, Beck Engineering will be on site on the project, checking in, making sure everything's being put in correctly, and then also keeping track of the work that's been done. We put together a pay application that the contractor then reviews and approves if he agrees with what we're saying he's done for work. Once he signs that, we submit it for the council meeting, and then it's for you guys to look at, ask questions, and approve at that time. Once you approve that, you have a certain number, I can't remember off the top of my head, but a certain number of days to make that payment after it's been approved by council. So those will happen once a month.
Okay. So just estimating our first invoice may arrive like at the end of May then?
I would be surprised if he starts that early.
Okay.
That's possible, but I wouldn't expect that he'd be getting going that early.
Okay. So June, July?
Yeah, possibly. And then again, that goes to the question mark of when is he gonna start?
Right.
And that I don't have an answer for. I tried getting in touch with him today just to see if he had a feeling for how that would work, and I wasn't able to get a hold of him today, so.
So how many days once he starts does he have?
I can,
Made you look.
yeah. So he has 20 working days once he starts. So obviously that's only weekdays. And then a final completion date of August 1st.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So council members have a lot of information on this in the packets as far as what a little bit more of the process, the Streets and Utilities Committee meeting minutes. Any other questions on those items? Funny, I think part of your questions, Danny, are probably based on what fiscal year are these expenses going to come in this year, next year, potentially?
Well, I wanted to generally know when we'd be writing invoice, because how we're looking to finance.
Right.
So,
So, everyone has in their packet the recommendation from the committee, but I can read that. The committee would propose to the council that we accept the King construction bid, constructing the submerged aeration system, the same type that we currently have. We would recommend the funding from this project be taken from Maple Street, Mickley Street, the Ginger Fund, and West Industrial Lot. Any other remaining balance would come from the general fund. And other options of financing would be utilize a general obligation bond or a revenue bond.
Plus, we're gonna have the American Rescue dollars,
That's,
goes for it too,
Already
right?
allotted, right?
yeah, but that's already allotted in
Right.
there.
That's 128,000
Yeah.
now?
yeah.
So the difference that we'd have to make up would come out of those funds.
Yep, gotcha.
One other option that we looked at too was possibly grabbing some dollars from the water and the sewer fund. And that was why I was asking the questions as far as invoicing, how far down the road we could get before we would have to actually hit those different accounts. And I asked Alex to put together some numbers for me, which she did. And in the sewer fund, she did an August 23 to January 24 run for me. And in those 6 months, we generated a little over 14,000 into the sewer account. So that might help us too further down the road as far as taking some dollars from there.
Plus, they've already kind of figured out, I think the girls did, how much different areas around are charging for sewer funds, so that might be a thought too, to see if we have to raise.
Yeah, we've got that on our agenda, so we're
Okay.
looking at that issue.
Okay.
We'd prefer if we didn't have to do that.
So we'll have to, for the other projects besides this, we'll have to look at, grants and bonds and that type of thing and how to fund those. So that'll be our next step. Investigate that.
Kelly, any other comments you have on the project, or anything so? Any other questions?
I might, not question, but on the resolution, if you read the first line, there, be resolved by the council of the city of Pauline, Iowa to approve, and then a follow-up to approve. Is that the way that's supposed to read? or
I think it's a
I was gonna
duplicate.
mention it, I just forgot about it. I read it too.
One of those two approves be taken out, Michelle, or, okay. And then it's King Construction, or what's the official name, their contract name?
I think it's either, I was looking at that today, it's on their bond as King Contracting or King Contracting LLC or King Construction.
Because we would want that to be exactly as the contract says, right, in our
Yeah.
resolution, so. So King Contracting LLC.
Delete one of the two approves.
Well, I did see it too.
Insert
Forgot.
LLC. Danny and Jean, are you okay with that wording change in in the resolution that made a motion in a second?
Sounds pretty friendly to me, so.
Sounds good to me.
Do you want a motion to amend that resolution in that way, or?
Not if they're not friendly change with it, it doesn't make a
Okay.
substantive change. Okay. Any other conversation? Otherwise, I assume you are ready to vote. All those in favor of the
Wait,
Resolution.
need somebody to present the resolution.
I think I did that, didn't I?
Yeah, we did that.
Did you?
Yeah, we've got a motion on the floor.
Danny
to
and
approve the
Jean did.
resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got a motion, we've got a second, we got conversation. Michelle, roll call vote, please.
Steve Herron,
Aye.
Carol Hunkell,
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs.
Aye.
Jean Enra,
Aye.
Danny Workmeister.
Aye.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
All right, thanks for your work on that so far.
Thanks, guys.
Just to get that done and behind us. Agenda item number 8 is budget presentations. This is, some groups have submitted budgets over the last few weeks. This is an opportunity for them to actually present them to us and for us to ask questions. So we're going to go through these 5 tonight. Start with library.
All right. If you look what you have before you, I'll just go over some of the significant changes. So in our expenses, what we'll call our operating expenses, that's the daily operation of the library without wages. Most things have either gone up or down, but our number has kind of stayed the same there. So we're just moving around the numbers like in different categories. Like definitely our utilities increased this year. And so we adjusted that. But our most significant increase this year, besides adding, you may have noticed, I got the figure from Michelle that what the city already pays on our insurance, like for our property and different things, and so that's just included in our budget since that's going towards us. But the increase this year would be our wages. The board approved raises for our librarians. As we saw this year, a lot of local libraries are really struggling to find anyone for $15 an hour to work in the library. And so we've had a few gals who were working for less, well, last year were working for less than $10 an hour. And so in an effort to catch up on where in the past they hadn't had regular increases, the board had raised up their wages across the year, and then decreasing our staff by 1 employee. They felt that it was appropriate to increase their pay, but that increases our wages for next year. So last year our wages with IPERS was $43,000 that we were budgeted for. We are coming in ahead of that, and so we are aware of that, and we'll be discussing how we're going to make up that balance. But we want to get ahead of that for next year, and so this that number of $49,000 for wages is where we're setting. So that changes our total budget from $70,400 last year to $79,556 this year. And if you want questions on any specifics in that category, and then our anticipated incomes, these are things that are we're kind of predicting what we'll get. We're assured pretty strongly we'll have $11,000 or more from the county. And so that's from the supervisors for rural patrons. Enrich Iowa, those are dollars that we get from the state. They generally ask that we don't include that in our regular budget, but we're just including that as part of our income. We just have to account for how we use that money with them, and they just say, don't depend on it, because one little change at the State House and that won't be there. So gifts and donations, we have a target out there that we've have some very generous people the last few years, and so this is what we've been kind of drawing in gifts and donations wise. At $3,500, we get some money by lending books to other libraries. Printing services, fines and fees is a number that keeps going down and down as it's very hard to collect fines and fees. A lot of people don't pay, and most libraries in the state have gone fine-free now because it becomes a real burden to try and pursue those type of things, and then you chase away your patrons. So sale materials, I bumped that just a little bit more this year because we did sell more books this year, used books, some reimbursements, and then class contributions where people are paying to do stuff at the library, like taking an art class or different things like that. So our anticipated income is $17,350. Now there's a few things that are missing off of that from last year, like we had the Library Foundation or the O'Brien County Community Foundation on the supplemental income last year. But that's only if we apply for a special project. The foundation is for more like capital projects, and so I wouldn't include that in our operating. Like, we can't really depend on that to say, hey, we need $3,000 from O'Brien County just to keep the lights on. So if we do a special project or if we do a expensive program, those will be on top of and be applied for like a grant from those. So, that's a lot of information to throw at you. Any questions on that?
Do you have any information on what is a similar, in this area, Northwest Iowa, similar size town library, and how these costs and wages and such compare?
I do have some, I don't have that with me. There's a thing called the Library Annual Report, which kind of collects that data across the state. Where we line up, I would say first off, our city funds us really well. I always like to kind of brag that. Our city does a good job. We don't have a library levy. And so like for our city, they've been providing for us well. But when you look at other libraries in our area, similar size, maybe we're about in the middle or a little bit to the higher end of that. But they also, so one of the priorities that we've had is keeping our staff members as a asset. A lot of libraries our size start to diminish that and then raise their other budget lines. So they're operating, they can do other stuff. And about the time when I was brought on, that was a discussion if we wanted to cut staff in order to achieve more hours for the director, things like that. And we kind of discussed that a lot, and the board really saw having these extra staff members, and that's where our costs are mostly in the wages. It's because we see our staff members as assets in our library and make our library unique and strong. But that also, yeah, that makes us have a little bit of a higher budget end than some libraries at our size. But yeah, I wouldn't say we're outstripping many libraries in communities our size. It's just where we're unique is that we have 3 other people working at the library instead of just a director and maybe 1 other clerk.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Matt? No? All right, thanks, Matt. Move on to ambulance. Should have a copy of the ambulance budget, which is purple, right?
It's pretty purple. I didn't have current budget year numbers to work from. I had from the last 6 months of last year's budget to utilize, so I don't have the revenue on here because I don't have the current budget year.
Oh, I thought I sent it to you.
It says 22 to 23.
But then I sent you another one.
Oh, I missed that email. Oops. So anyway, but judging by what I've seen on revenues, we pretty much are able to cover our budget with what we bring in. We increased 5% across the board after talking to Denny and Jean. We will get $26,500 from county this year.
26.7?
26.5 if it's approved. The county's,
Oh, okay, I didn't see it.
yeah, the county's kind of, yeah. But that's what we've been promised so far. And again, our workman's comp, I think I brought that up high enough. Michelle, did I?
So it's 400 now?
Yep.
I'd have to look, I think you're still a little low.
Okay.
Well, you got percentages you can give her, or figure on it.
And yeah, I don't know if you have any questions about any of the lines.
So it really looks like everything other than the salaries and wages line, that's the big reason for the change here, right? 6,000, 9,136.
Training.
And that's because, yeah, because what we had in the proposed budget was actually less than the actual, so we raised that this year. And we did raises to $15 an hour for everybody last year.
There was a time when there wasn't much daytime coverage, so now that we have coverage pretty much every day, all day, I mean, we were going on quite a few more calls, so for a few years the budget was kind of unknown as to how many calls we would be going on, so I think there's still kind of juggling with that.
Because previous to 2020, we had a year and a half, 2 years, where we were out of service from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. because we didn't have anybody in town.
Nobody to do it.
Okay, sure.
Sure.
So our calls
And
have
you weren't getting
increased.
paid for a lot of those hours either, at one time.
Right,
You started that within the last, what, 2 years?
last year.
When the county started offering money
Yeah,
to
right.
Yeah.
compensate for some of it.
Right.
So last year or the year before?
What was year before?
Time flies.
So does the tablet FirstNet replace, I see that there's nothing budgeted for station phone and internet, that's not a big number.
Right, we don't have a phone line for the ambulance specifically anymore. We have the tablet.
The tablet FirstNet, okay.
And our ambulance billing and medical director, that could change because we're going to look at changing from Metro billing to DCC billing. So that could be, that will put us on utilizing the same billing company that everyone else, except for the Orange City Hospital.
They use that other one, right?
Everybody else uses PCC. Orange City Hospital does their own.
Okay.
And no, we do not want to do our own. We do not have the skill set or the time. Because that's a lot of insurance stuff that it's above our pay grade.
Okay, so that's the ambulance billing line, okay. Okay. Any questions of Lori? All right. Yeah, if you could just take a look again at where
Yeah, I'll
we're
look
at
at
year to
the
date, and just
numbers
make sure
now.
there aren't any significant changes that need to be made. Okay, thanks,
And
Lori.
I'll calc our budget.
Travel gonna be okay? Weren't you over on, were they over on travel already? Or was that somebody else? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we only had one person go to a conference this year, so.
Oh, okay.
All right, thanks, Lori.
Yep.
Swanson Sports Complex. Let's talk about that. You just go here.
Swanson, oh, that's.
What do you want me to talk about?
This budget. Is there anything that we should know?
This is basically it's the same budget they give us every year. Nothing's really changed, so.
So the one thing that we noticed in here is that their goals, I think that the council approved planting some evergreens last year. That wasn't on the budget that they submitted, but I think it was in our budget. So we typically budget a little bit more than this, anticipating what they might come up with for projects throughout the year that we can either approve or deny. But if we think, we'll put a little bit in for that, so. You know offhand what the budget was for? That's my budget. Do you know what the budget for the whole Swanson complex was? 25,000?
I have 14. Yeah. 14, that's last year.
Oh, but that's not what we, that's what they asked for, and then we budgeted a little bit more to cover those
Those
projects.
evergreens, so I have to do that later.
Okay. So I think it was around $20,000 last year with additional potential items. Any questions on this budget?
Kelly, is that fertilizer and herbicide, is that what Bunkers had on theirs? Do Bunkers do that, is that included in that?
I don't think so.
So Marlon, what you said, just so I understand is,
They do that?
they're asking 14,000, but in the city budget, we put 20,000.
Yeah, last year, we haven't decided this year yet, we'll decide that as a council.
Okay.
The last year, they said this was the same as last year, but our budget was higher, anticipating some added costs based on kind of how it's been running year to year.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now we move on to police.
Okay, most budgets, wages are assuming we get a second person hired, and then the next couple line items are just a flat calculation based on what you spend on wages. Estimates on group insurance, working towards status and unemployment tax. Uniforms is up again on this
assumption that if you get a second person hired, you have to outfit them. Same for training. Meetings and conferences, same. Operating supplies, which is primarily fuel for vehicles, adjusted based on historical numbers. Just now, as I'm talking about it, I'm trying to remember if I compensated for the fact that we are currently short a person or not, which would have effect, but I think it's just assuming even if we did, I think that came into effect. And that's also based on fuel prices, based on fuel prices for the last year and a little fudge factor in case they go up. That's my best guess on that. Vehicle repair and maintenance, other equipment repair and maintenance, telephone, which is both officer cell phones for work and for the wireless hotspots that are vehicle computers get internet through. Property insurance, legal expense, medical and wellness, printing and advertising, part of which is trying to get somebody in the door, liability insurance, miscellaneous and other contract services, that would be payments to the state for connection to the Iowa system, which all the vehicles and everything gets run through, etc. It's also annual software subscriptions like Microsoft Office, antivirus, and then that's got adjusted somewhat for there's been a change in how our mobile system connects to the sheriff's office. To date, they've been providing a VPN to cover that, and their VPN provider has made some changes that, of course, have increased the cost, so we have to adjust that a little because they are now going to pass some of that cost on to the agencies. Operating supplies and material, that's pretty much all the other hard items. Ammunition, equipment replacement like firearms or tasers, body cams to some extent, depending on whether we're getting them separately or as part of a vehicle system package. And then postage. And then capital equipment, based on, we had been doing 11, based on pushing this vehicle, the next vehicle to get would have been this fiscal year, getting it pushed back a year, and as things stand now for what costs are looking like, I think I feel confident that dropping it to 10,000 should not be an issue. And below that is, very bottom is the fund balance from previous years and what we expect it to be at the end of fiscal 25 based on a vehicle purchase this coming fiscal year, which is on the expenditure line. And that's just a guess as far as what state bid is when the new vehicle order bank opens and what those prices end up being, and cost of transferring the applicable equipment from the current one to the new one, and anything that needs to be replaced outright. If you have any questions at all?
So it looks like the big difference, I mean, if we look at the approved from the current year fiscal year to this one that we're budgeting, it's down a little bit. The big change is whether we have that second officer or not.
Correct.
Everything else is pretty much the same.
Correct.
Any questions regarding this budget from council? Okay. Thanks, Nate. And fire. Ryan. Fire.
He gave those all out.
Everybody bring that.
Yeah, you should all have a presentation folder.
This one?
Yeah. So what you have there is a 5-year capital improvement budget for the fire department. So we're trying to look ahead, plan ahead, and give you guys a picture of what we are looking at in the future. As far as my 24-25 budget, it's very similar towards cost as my 23-24 budget. Now having somewhat solid numbers for the last 2 years, I was able to get things a little closer, hopefully. So the big thing that changed this year's upcoming budget is I requested $20,000 to be put in a truck replacement fund. So that's where the extra money is requested. So there's one thing that Michelle and I still have to work on, and that is our liability insurance. We just found out that historically what we were told to budget is the monthly expense instead of the yearly expense. So we need to sit down with Kent and try to figure out where, go through all our drivers. I'm not sure if he's doing background insurance checks to, because I don't want to be insuring high-risk drivers because that's a lot of money. So yeah, that's something that we just talked about this last week, so. But as far as like numbers going forward, should be very close. As of right now, we're 7 months into this year's budget, and as it's going here, it looks to me that I'll be for the 2nd year in a row under budget. So from what I had presented in the last 2 years. So.
And what was the current fiscal year that we're in right now? What was the total budget?
$73,610. And right now I've expended at 50.23%.
In your budget, you talked about the liability insurance. Where is that included in here?
So liability insurance is in the services right under the property insurance.
Got it. So liability, that 250 is probably the low number.
Did the same.
Yeah, it should be much, much higher. But
Because last year you just did 252,
yeah, well, that's,
what you were told.
yeah, we've never been, yeah, there's a history there. We're just trying to move forward and get it corrected, so we're budgeting
Oh,
correct.
sounds good.
So more or less, other than that, it's the same budget. Do you want to talk about years ahead or?
Let's talk about sewer. So on liability, so if that's a monthly amount, and if we can't get it lower, that's gonna be 3,000, right?
Yes.
Instead of 250, which would affect your bottom line by that same
Yeah.
number.
Told to expect like a 20% increase.
So yeah,
On that insurance you made it.
yeah,
That's about the running rate,
Yeah.
everything.
so yeah, that's all. Like I said, she just brought that up last week, so we're gonna try to get that under control right away so we know what to expect.
So the bottom line would be close to 100 if that's the case.
Yeah. But like I said, that
Includes the truck.
includes that 20,000
Yep.
for the replacement fund. So then I
I've been trying to, thankfully my hose testing certification company sent out their new fees early, or late last year, so that should be a real close fee, because all of that keeps going up, so, unfortunately. But, I mean, you have to do it, because, yeah, it's a big problem if something would go wrong, and we're not up on the testing.
So your hose testing, is that truck pump testing and
So
stuff
that,
as well?
so, yeah, so we have a yearly certification on our pumps. And then hose testing is pressure testing on the hose. Which we have a company out of Minnesota come down and do that. It's a lot of work to do it, and it's hard on equipment. And they have this really nice piece of paper that has liability insurance that covers all that, so. It's, that's all worth a lot, all in itself. That they're signing off, they're good, so.
Okay, before we go to the next year, is there any questions on this upcoming annual budget? Okay, no? Go ahead.
So, I did the best I could in the upcoming years to predict inflation and cost increase. So as you look at 25 and 26, those are very large years. So.
Look that far.
I did, I was like, oh,
20,000 became 365
no.
inflation.
Yeah, I didn't even do anything.
So yes, I believe it was last year, I presented everybody in the council with a truck replacement schedule. So, and as of next year, one of the brush truck chassis needs to be replaced, and then the year after, our big pumper is 20 years. So in 25 and 26, I requested for the chassis for the brush truck and half of the cost, replacement cost for the pumper. And then the next year is the other half of the cost. So I'm budgeting $620,000 for that truck. It seems like a very large number, but that's pretty well running great. I have been doing some research on looking at another used apparatus to try to gain us some years. But most of what I found in the 2016 to 2018 year age, that'll gain us about 10 years. We're looking at 430,000 plus. So we're only gaining 10 years, and I feel too close to that new cost. I mean, yes, it's less expensive, but you're not gaining. I just feel it's not worth, the risk isn't worth the reward.
Ryan, on this equipment, have you figured any increases, or is it just raw dollars right now that, you can go out and buy one today for this cost?
So like my brush trucks, the chassis, I'm using straight MSPR or MSRP, whatever, off of Ford or Dodge's website. So we'll be able to get state bid, which should be significantly cheaper. So I'm just trying to keep it an inflated number for now, so we don't get it bought and, now it's just cost us $20,000 more than.
That's the same way with the pumper too, you've inflated the number.
Yeah, and I'm hoping enough. I mean, again, I'm not trying to scare everybody off, but ever since 2019, 2020, well, our other new pumper from the day we purchased it to the day we redid the insurance was less than 4 months. It jumped in cost over $50,000, so, yeah, and I mean, we're looking anywhere from 2 to 3 years to receive the truck after we order it, so it's definitely a process.
And can you get grants for any of those trucks?
So, that's something that, when we met Friday, right, this Friday when we, so I went over, so FEMA does have grants you can write for vehicle acquisition. The problem is FEMA is, you pretty much have to be a full-time job to keep up with how their grant system works. So they allot 10% of the entire grant money towards vehicle acquisitions. And yearly, they award approximately 1 to 1.5% of all applicants. So they're not even coming close to awarding their 10%. So I've talked a lot to different departments. Granville, they actually hired a company to write their grant, and they wrote it 5 years in a row before they were able to get the vehicle acquisition. So, yes, there's grants out there, but that can cost a lot of money. That can cost, so we have to put 5% into it ourselves, and depending on the grant writer, they charge anywhere from 5 to 10% of the award after it's awarded. So we're looking at 10 to 15% we're paying out. So yes, it's less money. So that is things we're looking at. I've talked to Ben. There's a revolving loan that we can apply for through the Iowa Service Training Bureau. So there's that. And then there's the USDA has a grant that also can be written for apparatus. So those are all things we are continuing to look at. So I think FEMA is much more looking at replacing safety equipment and stuff like that. I think that's much more logical to use it for that. So to kind of talking about FEMA, so in 2015, I was successfully awarded the FEMA grant for all the gear we have now, and to try to keep, because it only has a 10-year lifespan. So I mean, we're getting real close to being out of date, but we've spent the last at least 5 years buying 2 sets of gear every year to help alleviate the need to buy a big group of gear every year, so.
That's that bunker gear?
Yeah, bunker gear. So yeah, and that, like I said, I've tried to give it an inflated cost every year. Because yeah, just between 2019 and 2020, the price went up 30%. And it takes anywhere from 16 to 28 weeks to get. So I may order this next upcoming budget year pretty quick. So as soon as the budget's approved. So yeah, that's that for 25, 26, 27, and 28 has another truck chassis budgeted in. So that cost is elevated again, but very similar. If you take that $70,000 out, that's still, we're still looking closer to being on budget with what I'm requesting for this year. So, and then 28, 29, it's elevated a little, but we're requesting for truck replacement fund money again to try to get started sooner, so we hopefully get ourselves out of this predicament and get a more revolving schedule, so we're not doing year after year truck replacements. So I met with Jenny and Jean on Friday and did go over some of our things that we can do to help the budget along with fire contracts and stuff like that, so there is some hope. So, yeah. I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully.
Can you explain briefly for, so everybody knows, it's like, you know, so the fire department is supported by townships and the city. Is there a brief education on that? When you're looking at these numbers, is this?
Yeah, so what I presented was the complete number. When you go through, and I'm not a mathematician, but I did my best to figure out where we are for tax income. It's a 49-51% split as far as money. We have 4 townships in our fire district, and we have a certain amount of sections in each township. We have half in Caledonia Township. We split that township between us and Granville. We have all the Union Township, a quarter of Baker Township, and about 2/3 of Dale Township. So right now, we are doing per section charge, but we're looking at different options there, what we can do. The thing that we have to keep in mind is if we are going to start charging the township more money, then the city needs to look at the same thing to keep the split in the same amount of dollars. So yeah, and part of our discussion Friday was trying to decipher all the numbers on the city side where the funding is coming from. So, yeah, I've kind of asked a lot of questions to try to get a hold of, so I have the best information as far as I have, so I can present the correct budget. So, but yeah, there's a lot. So yeah, January 10th is when Michelle and I met with the townships and went over. We didn't do any changes this year as far as the budget with them. We just left our agreements, but I'm hoping to have better information for them on next January, so we can do some changes.
You still have them sign the contracts and everything yet too?
Yep. So yeah, they're under contract.
I knew you had, I just didn't.
Yeah.
Not interested. That way they're aware of what they're.
Yeah, and I presented some of my changes that I would like to make, and nobody ran me out of the building, so that's, when you hear an increase,
Were all the townships there represented, or?
yeah, all my townships were actually there this year. Yeah.
So Ryan, is your budget still on the 505 per section, or is it a different number?
Yes, so from up to this July, it's $505 a section is what we're charging. Yeah, I have all the numbers that we can change. So yeah. best that I can, I should say, yeah, but as best I can. But yeah,
That's what they're under contract.
yes, right now they're under contract for federal funds.
Okay.
So yeah, there is, yeah, I don't want to take up any more time tonight, but yeah, there's, yeah, there's changes we can make.
Sure. Okay, great.
Nope, sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks to all of you, library, ambulance, police, fire, for putting this together and for all your service. We will move on to the next item is to discuss special council meeting. So in addition to these, we have to factor in a couple of big budget areas that Michelle and Kelly are working on, being the streets, utilities, office, all the administrative costs, et cetera, which we will do. So kind of our timeline that we're running with is that next meeting is February 20th. Note that it's Tuesday, not Monday, because the President's Day and the office is closed. So we've got a meeting on Tuesday, February 20th, and then we've got a meeting again on March 5th, I believe it is. By March 5th, we need to act to set our proposed maximum revenue amounts to provide to the county and the state so that they can get their information out. They've got some new reporting that's coming out this year, and all of us taxpayers will be getting a mailing that they send out on the 20th of March, which includes city, county, and school district announcements all in one mailing. So we have to have ours pretty well done by the 5th to get that information to them. So my thought is that we can't handle all of that and give it the time it needs by just having the February 19th meeting. I'm proposing that we have another meeting in between this one and that one. I would propose maybe, next Monday night as an option. So that, and at that point in time, we would, you guys would be ready with your budget drafts by then. Is that pretty well? Then we, focus on those two areas, which are, big areas for us to include in the budget. And we might be able, depending on how long that takes that meeting, we can also go in and start digging into here and see how this comes together. Thinking that by the February 19th, we will have a much better understanding of what all the budget requests are, start making those final decisions and act on those, hopefully by the 19th, and then finalize that on March 5th. We'll know by the end of the 19th budget if we need to have one more special meeting. A lot of the cities around here, just FYI, have a couple of special meetings during the budgeting process, so it's not unusual. It just takes some time to give it the attention that it needs. So, are you okay with setting a meeting for a week from tonight, February 12th, for a special meeting for budgets?
What departments would you want present for that? Do you need all the departments again?
No, we don't, this will be new budget areas. It'll be a meeting like this, so anybody can come, but as far as presentation, we won't be dealing with the groups that presented their budget tonight. Thoughts? Okay with?
And then, the meeting in March, the 5th is a Tuesday, so is it the 4th you're meeting? Monday the 4th?
Monday, March, that Monday, is it March 4 or 5? 4. March 4th.
Okay, and that's our...
That's our regular first of the month meeting, yep. All right, so we will say that we're going to have a special meeting on February 12th.
That's a Monday? Yeah.
Do you need a motion for that?
Do we want to go earlier? We could, like 4:30? I mean, I don't know.
Work-wise, work with
Anybody have problems with, that maybe
That would
would
be
be done a little
I wouldn't be
earlier?
able to go at 4:30.
You can't go at 4:30?
Let's keep it at 5:30 then.
Okay.
I don't think we need a motion for a meeting, right, as long as we announce it.
We just have to say it there, don't we?
Yep. So we're going to call a meeting, special meeting, budget meeting for Monday, February 12th.
5:30.
5:30.
Then we're gonna have a regular council meeting on the 20th then, or?
On the 20th is our next regular meeting, as noted at the bottom of the agenda here too. Okay. All right, thanks. Agenda item number 10. You should have a copy of the July and August bank recs here in front of you. That doesn't take any action, it's just for our information. Michelle, you want to update here, kind of where you guys are at with bank recs?
Actually, we're further now. We're waiting for a call back from G-Works, which took a week to call us back.
Did they get back to you?
Yeah, finally. So we're through October.
September and October. Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, that's just information. Item number 11. So we run into a timing issue. There are certain recurring claims that come up that get delayed because we have to approve them. Looked into the neighboring cities, and it's common to pre-authorize recurring claims to a certain number of vendors, and you have information in your packet about that. Where is that? Is it?
Back of the aeration.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, because you listed them, the vendors.
Yep. So it's on the back of a page, you already have this page, resolution number 2024-09. These are the standard recurring vendors, and what we pay them for under the second column. Then it would streamline our process a lot administratively if we would just go ahead. You'll still see these claims show up on the claims list each time, but this just gives the clerk's office the authority to go ahead and pay these as due instead of waiting on the timing. So I would entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-09 to authorize the city clerk to pay the following pre-authorized vendors prior to submission of claims to the council to avoid late fees and administrative issues.
I'll make a motion for the resolution 2409 to authorize the city clerk to pay the following pre-authorized vendors prior to submission of claims to the council to avoid the late fees.
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions, concerns?
Is this a resolution we have to do every year or not? Just, this is forever and ever?
We'll check into that. Don't know if I know the answer to that, to tell you the truth.
I'm sure things will probably change though.
Well, they
We
are
may have to update the vendor list.
Yeah.
stated, but probably not much, I would think.
All right.
Yeah.
I would recommend down where it says Visa UMB to take Kelly and Nate's name off of there.
They're the only ones with cards.
Right, but my thought is if
this
as we
last,
move to the
okay.
future and it changes,
Just
Yeah.
do credit cards.
Yeah.
so I recommend deleting those two names.
do we want to amend it or a friendly motion change for the person that made the motion and second?
I'll just update my resolution to take those names off.
Okay.
Okay,
You're okay with
sounds
second?
good.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All right, hearing none, so we're ready to vote. All in favor of the motion to...
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Roll call.
Steve Herron,
Aye?
Carol Lomko,
Yeah.
Nicole Jacobs,
Aye.
I'm still here.
Gina Unrell, Denny Workmeister.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, item number 12 is a resolution to approve a raise for Caden Hewitt for the contract. You got information and discussed after the motion, so I would entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve raise for Caden Hewlett for contract to $32.30 per hour.
Motion, do I have a second?
One second.
Any discussion, questions? You've got a copy of the contract there, and the resolution, of course. 95% is listed in the U.S. Department of Labor contract after a certain number of hours.
And he's way over those hours. Well, maybe total. 5,000 some, wasn't it?
5,400, I think, is that?
Yeah, 5402 I got written down as of January 20th. So, and he leaves tomorrow for some of his other stuff, right?
What's that?
He leaves tomorrow, doesn't he?
Yep. We'll just take it. Some of his tests tomorrow in Ankeny.
Any questions, other comments, discussion? Seem ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, sorry, resolution, roll call vote. please.
Steve Herrick,
Aye.
Carol Hunkell,
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs.
Aye.
Jean Enra.
Aye.
Danny Workmeister.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Item number 13, resolution to approve Tyler Wilbur CDL training and licensing agreement. We'll entertain a motion to pass that resolution.
I'll entertain a motion to pass the resolution.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Kelly, do you want to mention anything about that?
I mean, CDLs used to not be that hard to get, and now they're
Inexpensive.
an expensive process, so.
So it's very similar to our ambulance EMT training,
Right.
which this agreement was
It's about the same.
crafted after.
It's about the same amount of money as the ambulance, so we did this contract after the same as the ambulance is pretty much.
The one thing that they did add in here is that item number 4 in this contract, and it isn't just, if they cease to be an employee, they reimburse, get out here for 2 years. Also added in there, if he doesn't obtain his CDL license after going through the training, that he reimburses the city as well, so. Any questions, discussion on this item? Hearing none, I assume you're ready for votes. Let's see.
Steve Herrick,
Aye.
Carol Hunkell,
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs.
Aye.
Jean Enra.
Aye.
Danny Workmeister.
Aye.
Item number 14 is on there, just informational to discuss our building permit process. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit first, you don't need to talk about it, or
Is this the one?
item 14.
Okay, fine. Yeah, there's, currently, we're getting some more complicated building permits, and I am not versed enough to look at those and be able to approve them on my own. And so I have to turn to Kelly a lot, and I don't know if that's what we want to keep doing, because I know Carol had brought up having someone else look at the building permits and approve them. But we just need to kind of decide which route we're gonna go.
So one of the things that we have in here is that we've got, our city ordinances, and we've also got our zoning ordinances. As part of this process, I would like us to review that and make sure that we are doing it consistently with what's required there, as far as who really has the authority to approve permits if they're in compliance, who has the authority to approve variances in the process. And along with this, I want to put on, probably not the next meeting or two, but to review the whole zoning board of adjustment as well. That was put in place in 2018. According to that ordinance, the initial board was supposed to have terms of not longer than 3 years, but it's never changed. So to relook at who's on that board and have council take action on that board and get that as an operating entity again to review these things.
So they could possibly review the building permits and then pass them on to us.
Yeah.
I think that we gotta use them more often, rather than give it a pass it to the girls.
Early on, it seemed like they were moved and they were used in talking to people, but over time, that just stopped and
Right.
everything was handled out of this office.
Sure.
So I just want everybody to be aware of that we're looking at that.
Doesn't the ordinance address that though, when application goes to the Board of Adjustments or whatever? I thought the ordinance covers that.
It does, but that ordinance is not being followed. Nothing's going, the zoning board hasn't been involved in hardly anything for a long time, and they should be.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's only under certain conditions too, I believe, that it goes to the planning commission.
Yep.
So what the concern I is that might be, what I'm trying to say, there might be a gap between where Michelle's at, what she feels she can approve, and whether it should go to the planning commission, right? So that's that gap we have to correct or fill or whatever.
Right, and we really need to fill the gap prior to that is who's got the right knowledge of all of the zoning ordinances and the ordinances to make sure that building permit is fully in compliance and therefore could be approved by somebody other than the zoning. Which is really where we'll start. We'll start at that level first. It's like when a building permit comes in, who can, where does it need to go? So,
okay.
We don't really have a committee that ties into well, I don't think. So we'll probably be reaching out to see if there's anybody that wants to be a part of that, if that's your passion. So, let me know. Okay, so that's just informational on what's happening there. All right. Item number 15, discuss engaging a consultant to review and provide recommendations regarding the city debt limit, bonding, etc. This has come up a couple times. One is just getting familiar with the city and the new council. I don't think we for quite some time have looked at that. I know in the minutes from a couple of years ago, 2022, it said that in 2024 we should do a bonding issue related to electrical, etc. So it's 2024. So just in general, and then of course when we look at more specifically the lagoon project funding of items come up. Michelle has got, and I think you got this right, there's a proposal in here from D.A. Davidson, which my understanding is the city has worked with before. And then there's also Allers and Cooney. Allers and Cooney is the attorney related to this. Davidson is more the placement of the bonding part of it, I believe. So, couple things here. One is familiarize ourselves with this, figure out what we need to do. We don't have this on here as an action item tonight, but I think we should get it on as an action item in the near future to start this process. I think if you look at it from a committee standpoint, probably is under our finance and economic. Probably our finance and economic development group to have an initial meeting to say how do we tackle this, contact both of those firms, get clarity on what part each one of them plays and how do we start and move forward with it. That makes sense. So we will, and that committee is, our committee members are Danny and Nicole. So if you would start discussions on that and put some plans together, we can put that on the next agenda item.
Next agenda.
The next meeting agenda item. Agenda item number 16, we put that on here. Fire department asked us, if the committee called the office here, asked us if they could use the old bank building for training. The quick reaction is absolutely, it'll be a great training place. They're going to do search and rescue type of training. However, we as a council, I don't think the only issue that came up, including from our city attorney, is check insurance coverage that we have on that building to determine what's okay. Is it fine to do anything with fire department because they're part of the city or not? So specifically to request from them, but then we might want to look at it a little bit broader. It's like, if we get a request, how do we approve that? And what authority does Michelle, the city clerk, have to approve that so we can give her some direction on that? So, again, we will put that on as an item for in the next meeting or two. But I want to solve the thing.
Kat said we had to know specifically what they were doing.
What type of training?
Yeah, like when you do it, what it is.
We can't set fires in there and put them out.
No, search and rescue,
It's always, that's what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, we're not.
Okay. He just asked me what it was, and I said,
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
not starting spot fires. and-
No, well, I said, I don't think they're doing any of that.
Probably on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, we can accidentally, but
Don't let them smoke. Okay, so as long as we know, but you never know if somebody else is gonna ask either to use it for something. So, but for you guys, that would, we just have to recheck with him on that then.
no, just search and rescue. is,
Okay.
you know, We can only do so much inside stuff in our building,
You'd have a lot of room.
and there, we don't, I mean, it's much more realistic training there as far as rooms.
And you'll utilize all three then? Upstairs, main, and basement?
That was, who was sitting
Oh.
here.
That was his, he's
Yeah.
gotta tell you, huh?
Yeah. So I just know enough that.
Because there's no electrical upstairs.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't be a problem either for
We
what
got
we need to
lights.
do.
Probably good.
We've got lights if we need them, or we need them, and usually you can't see anything in a fire.
So if you could have Rich give us just a quick little recap of what it is, so
Yep.
that we can.
And I can run it past Ken,
Run it past Kent and include it in our discussion when we're
and then we'll
deciding
know,
this.
yeah.
So is this a weekend or a weekday event?
It'd be on
Monday.
a Monday night, when we have meeting.
So you'll have everything blocked off and so on, so.
Okay. I can run it past him.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we won't have equipment and all that. So, just body lines.
Something this will be reoccurring, or will it be one time, or?
Depends on how long that building sits empty. So,
You'll use
Right.
it as long as we have it.
And you guys get certified, there's certification that goes with what you're.
well, it goes part of our training
Training.
hours.
Right. Yeah.
Because, yeah, we have to have so many training hours every year.
All right. Upcoming item. Item number 17, receive resignation of treasurer. We don't need to act on this, but it came to my attention, so little on the council thought we should act on this and understand. So the confusion, Glenda mentioned, I had been asked way before I was ever going to be on this council, if I would be the treasurer, and I agreed to do that, but not until all of our books were in order, because I didn't want to be appointed treasurer and then not be able to do the job the treasurer is required to do, because we didn't have the financials to do it. So, so I just said, I'd be willing to be appointed, but not now, when we get caught up. In the meantime, Carol Shaquin was asked, and if you look back to, I honestly don't know the minutes, but very early of 2023, I believe it was, Carol Shaquin, the then city clerk from Pringar, who was helping with training here in this office, was appointed by this council as interim treasurer. Then, at some meeting, our previous city clerk mentioned, in January, mentioned to Carol that she didn't need to do it anymore because they had somebody. I don't know if that was me or someone else. I made it clear to Carol after that, I said, it's like, just so there's no confusion, I'm not doing it. And she was continuing to work with some of the city staff here. So we're not sure what happened there. So she had never resigned from that position. She was appointed as interim treasurer. I wasn't. There was confusion that she had a job to do. So late 2023, she, just to clear things up, submitted her resignation. So at this point in time, we don't have an appointed city treasurer. We are, I think, close to having somebody who will do it. And she and the city clerk's staff are going to be in contact here very soon to have her, I guess I indicated, I should have said him or her, but I already said her, to have them get together and look at where our books are at, go through the process, make sure she's comfortable that she can do the job of city treasurer, after which point in time she will make that final decision, but it sounds positive that she then will be our city treasurer. So we're getting real close to having an appointed city treasurer like we're required to have.
Right, since you got all your statements done and stuff, that will hopefully make it simple.
So that's where we're at with city treasurer. All right, item number 18, reports. Under my reports, I'm continually finding out that when you're elected mayor of a city in Iowa, you all of a sudden are on a bunch of other boards, as Brenda probably forgot to tell me that.
Can't tell them purposely.
County 911, county emergency, the conference board, the assessors, things like that. So I've been going to those meetings. Eventually, some cities appoint a council member to do all those things, which we probably will do eventually, but it's a good way to get an understanding beyond the city what impact there is versus just in the city, get to meet people, a lot of people from the neighboring towns and councils and stuff. So that's really what I've been doing in addition to working with Michelle. Michelle, as the city clerk, really has the budget responsibility for the state, and I'm doing as much as I can to help her through that process. We'll work together on that. So that's what I'm going to spend my time on lately. Kelly?
Spending my time with budget, and we have been doing some cleanup out at the lagoon with some old poles we got out there. Probably gonna try and get them hauled to the landfill. We are working on a couple electric projects, getting some streetlights fixed.
Those flashing ones.
The ones that
Did you get those all fixed?
Ones that are black.
Oh, those. Did you ever check that one light outside of town? Did you ever get out there, checked out
I have not
for the
yet.
city of Polina? Okay.
Oh, is that? Okay, I was wondering, I was gonna say
Yeah,
something.
no, I
I was
said
actually gonna go out there and look and see.
That's a solar one, and in the winter time when it's foggy, those solar panels don't get charged very good. So,
I think it's temperamental. So, yeah. No, I brought it up. I kept forgetting to tell him too, when I come in.
I was just gonna go out there.
Oh, and look and, yeah, no, I knew it was solar, but.
Edit Kelly? Michelle, city clerk?
Well, I've been busy. I got I have the current budget entered now on our software, which was never entered. And working on next year's budget with Kelly and everyone else. And I have to give kudos to Alex because she's really picking up the slack when I'm not, because I'm not able to really help her much right now, so. She's doing a really good job.
And both of you are.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thanks for all your efforts.
You're gonna think next year's a breeze. You don't have to fix everything first.
All right. Any other reports or comments from city council members?
I just wanted to thank Mary for putting in my bug in my ear about looking at different funds for our sewer project. And I want to give kudos to Michelle and Alex both for the efforts they put in to help us get there at this point. Thank you very much. Pass that on to Alex too.
I will.
Sounds good, thanks. Anything else? I keep looking back and forth. I gotta remember, I only have to look this way for the council anymore.
That's nice.
What do you think of the new setup?
I like it.
Like it. There's a lot more room for people.
You look very professional.
Go home. Took a while.
All right.
It was the girls' idea.
Yeah, it was a girl's idea again.
Yeah, they did a good job.
I came in here one day, I thought, oh, this looks different. And they said, oh, is this okay?
You know what they told me? They told me Kelly was doing cartwheels.
I wanna see it.
You needed more room?
Come on, Kelly.
Maybe next time.
We'll remember that.
All right. Do we have any other committee reports that we didn't cover under the budget presentations? Anybody else?
Yeah, Carol and I, we had a couple nuisances. One of them, I went and talked to them personally. They were very receptive. They said that they would make the change, so all is well there. We've got another one that we're gonna go and talk together this week, so.
Awesome.
That's for that.
And I have another one.
Oh, do you?
Oh, okay.
And then then I said maybe she wants to sign Dean's. It was not a letter sent out or anything. If you got something you wanted to write up, so you can,
Okay.
yeah, right. I just think that way
Just
you got
let
it
me know
in
and
the
I
file.
can
And we'll try the talking first, and we'll see where we're at.
Good idea.
The good neighbor approach, we call it.
Yep, yes,
There you
sounds
go.
good. So we'll see how that rolls.
Awesome. Any other committees?
I can give them a little bit of a report, it's in your packet, but we did meet, the streets committee met, and utilities, and we talked about also, other than the lagoon project, we also talked about the water treatment plant, the condition of that and updating that. Also did talk about the switch gear, excuse me. And then the southwest feeder project, which would be the school area. And what else did we talk about?
I think that was it.
That was about it.
Okay.
So-
Great.
So we are
Talked about funding, we said that.
working on those projects and trying to move forward with that.
Thanks for getting right on
Good
those
job,
things.
guys.
Super. All right. Departments. Police? Anything reporting the police? Nothing? Fire?
So that might, everybody doesn't have enough to do yet, but we need to hold a workshop to go over emergency preparedness manual.
Oh, that
Oh,
thing
that what we started way
what we
back.
started a while
Jared
back.
Johnson?
We have some new faces, so we need to get that redone for this year. Thank you to all the ones that went through the torture of getting it updated from 20 years ago. So that was a lot of work. We made it through it.
So who needs to
You
participate
guys
in
did
that?
a lot of it, you and Jared.
Yeah.
What's the timing of that?
I mean, it's not, we pretty much have everybody's telephone number, but it's updating contact information more or less, so it should be pretty simple.
Okay.
Shouldn't be too difficult this way.
Yeah,
I'll just wait to hear from you or somebody.
yeah, it should be far less.
We gotta work around you mostly.
Yeah,
so-
we'll let you decide and you pick a date. Does Jared need to come for it too?
No, it's just updating.
Yep, that's what I thought, just here for the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds
And
good.
I'll get everything prepared, so,
Okay,
just so you guys know that.
yep.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, ambulance, Lori, anything else?
Well, we have 2 people in EMT class. So they're doing very well in class, so we're very excited. And we also have our state inspection coming up on March 14th. And Stephen Etta will be coming here physically this time. Last time he did it via Zoom. This time he will be here in person.
That's the 14th, you said?
Yep. So, and I think our last 2 inspections, we've had no deficits, so
Great, good job.
Sounds good.
Good.
fingers are crossed.
Super. Library, anything else, Matt?
We have our board meeting Thursday at 1 PM if anyone wants to join. There's some rumblings out of the State House that we're keeping an eye on. It does deal with our relationship with local government. There's a proposed Senate bill that we're gonna do some research on. A lot of libraries are very concerned. My reading so far, I'm not so terribly concerned, because if you have a trusting relationship with your city and city council, the changes are just allowing more accountability, in my opinion. But we're gonna have a Zoom meeting with directors in the western half of the state later in the week to hear different people's opinions and to learn more. But yeah, we may or may not see some changes. Basically, yeah, and it deals with libraries' relationships with the city and how the city can keep accountable and adjust rules and property and different things. Now, it would have to be a citywide vote, and then if it fails, you have a 4-year wait. The proposed change would be that the council, as elected representative of the community, can make a change just like they would change an ordinance. And then if people don't like it, then they change out their council members and they can change it again. So again, a lot of people nervous about this. I'm not sure that our board is terribly nervous, but we haven't talked about it because it just like came out a week ago. So, and it's just in committee now, but that's something. And then our board, like we're looking more closely, like we've got some building things we've got to keep looking at. We're on a countdown with our air conditioning and heating. It's as old as the building and a third of it doesn't work already. So, and then we're realizing our spatial needs in the building and our limitations. And so we're trying to be creative and look towards the future.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. Item 19 on the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Well, move we adjourn.
Is that Steve or?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Or did you?
I did.
Oh, I'll second that.
Yeah, you can second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. Thank you. It is.
That's right.
Sheldon
Paper wasn't here, huh? Sheldon Paper wasn't here, huh?
Or just on the next something we can talk about it later. I'm gonna give a written report.
I need to keep this, but I'll take it out.
Figure out what works best for the union. And, yes, we can have it ahead of time so we all can pack it.
Me, you didn't have a
Okay.
Thanks for being so patient, honey.
Poor girl.
So I will provide.
One thing on the agenda, plowed right through us.
And I'll email it to you so you can just.
I thought so.
Yeah, look at us. We can do budget for our insurance.
So I just asked her if she would do something. She said, well, she said, well, I'm out in the area. Well, that's how.